Divinely revealed, God's supernatural message for you today: 3 miraculous signs of His love. In the sleepy English village of Hopewell, just after the Sunday service at St. Michael's Church, Sarah sat alone in the hallowed sanctuary, enveloped in an atmosphere electric with divine presence. The vivid stained glass painted the walls with hues of red and gold, and an unexplainable peace coursed through her veins, yet dread clung to her heart as tightly as ivy to an ancient stone. Her beloved sister, Mary, lay fragile and wan, battling a ruthless illness that seemed to mock the very fabric of their faith. In desperate prayers, she had clutched the rosary, recounting each bead as if her very breath could transcend to the heavens. Yet, the dark shadows of despair loomed heavily. But there, in her solitude, as hymns still reverberated in the air, something astonishing began to unfold. A radiant light glimmered from the high altar, a shimmering beacon that sprang forth, illuminating the space around her, the very essence of hope, crafted by celestial hands. "Sarah." A gentle voice broke her reverie. It was Emily, the beloved elder of the parish. With a twinkle in her eyes, she began sharing stories of extraordinary recalls, how faith ignited miracles and how many had witnessed the inexplicable. "Do you know, my dear, last summer, young Thomas was cured of his blindness right here. A mere flicker of God's brilliance, and he saw again." Each word wrapped around Sarah like a warm embrace. The moments grew richer. The villagers started to gather, offering their hands in prayer. Each countenance held a measure of resolute faith, or maybe it was the lingering warmth of hope that surged through their hearts. They sang praises, their voices entwining like fragrant blossoms. In the center, Sarah recalled a verse, echoing in her heart, the promise that love and faith would never falter. Yes, even in turmoil an unshakable presence was within reach. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. And then, amid rising fervor, an extraordinary revelation surged through the crowd. A glowing figure held the sky, illuminating the dusky twilight. Angelic beings adorned the heavens, draping light over St. Michael's shimmering wings caught the sun's final rays, and awe painted every expression in the crowd. Whispers ebbed and flowed, a chorus of wonder. Could it be a divine sign? Gasps ensued. Skeptics and believers alike saturated the air with disbelief and reverence, yet still, doubt twisted within Sarah like a storm. Would these miraculous visions bring healing to her sister? The fervor gripped her heart. She saw hope in the villagers, but the fear of loss still gnawed at her thoughts. Is this message for us, or merely a broad call? She questioned, swallowing her anxiety. An inexplicable pull formed deep within, a trial of faith standing unchecked against the wisdom of the universe, and as the village moved in rapturous worship under the glowing facade, Sarah's heart remained torn, caught between faith longing to soar and the sheer weight of uncertain tomorrows. Would the angelic revelation carry them to salvation, or leave them yearning for answers that hung suspended in the sky? With bated breath, they awaited the unfolding of God's miraculous plan, standing together on the brink of destiny with hearts open and souls entwined in a sacred mystery. The crowd continued to swell, the ambience thick with a sense of expectancy. As Sarah gazed into the luminous sky, her heart began to pulse with anticipation. Could this be the moment we've waited for? Her mind raced, drawing distorted connections between the divine light above and the plight of her sister. Emily stood next to her, her weathered hands clasped in prayer. The elder's eyes sparkled with a knowing gleam, an innate understanding of the sacred unfolding before them. This is not just for us, dear Sarah. It's a message from above, a call for unity, faith, and healing. The villagers lifted their voices in a symphony of praise, their fervent songs lifting beyond earthly bounds. Each note resonated in the air, a sweet melody that wrapped around every heart, binding them in devoted connection. But to Sarah, the harmony seemed laced with a quiet desperation. The more she listened to the uplifting syllables, the more she felt the weight of her silence in contrast. Could her faith withstand the enormity of the moment? She closed her eyes, letting the sound wash over her. In the quiet, she beckoned a glimmer of hope, whispering into the stillness, "God, please, show me a sign for Mary. Let us feel your healing touch." As if in response, the shimmering light above shifted. A brilliant figure descended, a radiant being draped in ethereal fabric, eyes filled with a warmth that ignited the very atmosphere of St. Michael's. "Fear not," echoed a voice that seemed to resonate through their very souls. "For love conquers all, and you are not alone in this trial." Gasps erupted as the crowd dropped to their knees, captivated by the presence that stood before them. Sarah felt her heart lift and fall in the same breath. This feeling was hope yet tinged with uncertainty. Would they receive the miracle they so desperately sought? In that moment, Sarah's gaze locked onto the figure, every flicker of light seeming to weave a narrative of warmth across her spirit. "What are you asking of us?" she breathed, her voice a mere whisper in the tempest of faith around her. "You must believe," the figure responded. "Trust that I am here. Believe that healing can happen, but it requires faith that transcends the visible." As the words enveloped her, she couldn't help but feel the room shift, an intangible weight lifted, shadows retreating like clouds before a blazing sun. The villagers stood transfixed, eyes wide with awe, hearts pulsating in agreement with the revelation. A change was coming, they could feel it in their very bones. The sky above flickered with brilliance, and a fresh wave of energy rippled through the congregation, uniting them as one. In this hallowed moment, the lines between earthly struggles and divine intervention blurring beautifully. Yet, doubt continued to swirl in Sarah's heart. Is this the kind of faith you seek? She pondered, on the brink of understanding but held back by the reality of Mary's condition. A sudden hush fell, as if the world were waiting for an answer. The light radiating above pulsed, vibrant and alive, responding to her very thoughts. Could faith actually bear fruit in the most fragile of circumstances? As if reading her mind, a gentle breeze whispered around them, swirling through the church, inviting them to something deeper. Just then, a familiar figure appeared at the threshold. A beloved presence, frail yet determined, stepped forward. The faith of the village hung in the balance as Sarah stood between fear and hope. Was this the healing they had prayed for? The moment of revelation always felt close but held so much uncertainty. It was the unveiling of God's plan that was unfolding right before her eyes, and as she took a step forward, her heart a melody of hope and trepidation, the question remained, would their prayers be answered, and would the light guide them to salvation? As the familiar figure drew closer, Sarah recognized the delicate frame of her sister, Mary. Tears pricked her eyes, hope and despair intertwined like entwined vines. Mary's face carried the residue of pain, yet there was a spark there too, a glimmer that suggested something profound was shifting. The villagers, still enraptured by the presence above, began to rise, their faith palpable in the air. Emily turned towards Sarah, her eyes filled with wisdom and urgency. This is a moment, dear one. Every heart here is a vessel of hope. Your sister, she feels it too. We all do. The atmosphere danced with anticipation, each soul straining to catch a glimpse of the divine work taking place. Sarah stepped closer to Mary, words choking in her throat. Could this truly be the moment they had longed for? She reached out, placing her hand gently on Mary's frail shoulder. In that touch, a familiar warmth surged, love punctuated by faith. The radiant being above seemed to shift, casting soft light upon them, illuminating their connection. Healing flows more profoundly when hearts unite, the voice echoed as though unearthing a hidden truth lodged within each person present. You must lift each other in faith. Let not your hearts waver. With every word spoken, the heaviness pressing down on Sarah began to dissolve, replaced by an urgency to embrace this call to believe. Mary, she whispered, her voice finding strength, we must hold on to hope together. We can trust in this moment. Mary met her gaze, eyes blinking away the moisture of uncertainty. Sarah, it's hard. I feel so fragile, yet your presence brings me strength. Maybe, just maybe, we can dare to hope. In that silent exchange, the burgeoning hope flared brighter, igniting a fire in their hearts. The villagers joined hands, forming an unbroken circle, a living tapestry of faith vibrating through the temple. The hymns softened, transitioning into whispers of prayer and intimate conversation with the divine. "Together, we declare faith over fear," Emily proclaimed, her voice rising above the murmur. "May every burden we carry be laid at the feet of our Savior." As the crowd echoed their agreement, Sarah felt a powerful current weave through them. Joy and reverence collided as the luminous figure twinkled in acknowledgement, a celestial smile casting warmth over their collective faith. Then, quite unexpectedly, the radiance intensified, enveloping them in brilliant splendor. A flicker of golden light spiraled from above, settling gently over Mary. It felt as if the very fabric of heaven was unraveling, stitching love and life into the most broken parts of her being. "Feel the love that heals," the voice resounded. "Believe and receive this gift." With every soul turned toward her, Mary's breaths deepened, shifts of strength rippling through her frail body. Her eyes closed in tranquil surrender, and Sarah held her breath, waiting for what followed. Would transformation unfurl where pain once took root? Just then, a pulse of warmth radiated, lighting up the room with its heavenly caress. The atmosphere shimmered as whispers of amazement tinged the air. Faith coursed between bodies, a communion born of desperate love and unwavering hope. "Let it be so," Sarah affirmed, her voice carrying through the glow, heart pounding with conviction. "Mary, are you feeling?" But before she finished, a joyous cry erupted from the crowd, as if the heavens had opened up in ecstatic affirmation. Sarah could hardly believe her own eyes as Mary's frame began to straighten. In that moment, all felt suspended in divine grace. Faces lit with wonder, hearts uplifted in praise. Could it be? The impossible happening before their very eyes, and just as questions danced on every lip, what would this miracle mean for their faith, their lives? The radiant presence began to ascend, casting a final glow upon them all. Like a gentle whisper, the question lingered in the air, inviting reflection: what happens next when hope becomes reality? A soft gasp rippled through the crowd as Mary opened her eyes, the deep depths of her struggle now replaced with an openness that seemed to soak in the surrounding light. She lifted her hands, trembling slightly, as if reaching not just for that golden glow, but for the profound transformation that had suddenly unfolded within her. I feel different," she murmured, her voice fragile yet rising like the dawn. A spark of emotion ignited in her eyes, awakening a deep-seated joy that had been hidden away for far too long. "It's as if chains have been broken." Sarah felt that familiar warmth swell up in her chest, a mixture of sheer disbelief and an overwhelming gratitude. The villagers looked on, joy and astonishment flowing freely through their collective voices. "Oh, praise the Lord!" cried one older woman, arms outstretched toward the heavens. "He has heard our cries." Others joined in, echoing praises, their voices harmonizing into a celestial anthem. Each person felt a part of something greater, each testimony binding them closer in unity. It was clear something miraculous had occurred, and the atmosphere was thick with pure, unwavering belief. "Mary, can you walk?" Sarah asked, her voice wavering with anticipation. With a hesitant nod, Mary slowly shifted her weight, testing the strength in her legs. It was as if she had forgotten the very act of walking, each movement stirred a blend of fear and eagerness. Her first step wobbled, but as Sarah encouraged her with faith-filled eyes, a newfound confidence pulsed through Mary. With grace and dignity, she took another step, inching forward with an astonishing transformation revealed before their eyes. The villagers broke into joyous applause, the sound echoing from wall to wall. They had not merely witnessed healing but a true resurrection of spirit. Faith brought her back. Emily proclaimed, her voice ringing out like a bell chime, cutting through the murmurs of disbelief that flickered in the hearts of a few. "This is our testimony. A testament to the power of hope, the might of love." Overwhelmed, Sarah felt her heart swell. Hope wasn't just a fleeting concept, it was real and tangible here, connecting everyone present. Each breath felt richer, every moment deepened by their shared experience of divine mercy. As the villagers surrounded Mary, their faces painted with awe, they began to pray again. This time, it was a prayer of thanksgiving, a poignant reminder that the very act of believing had triggered unimaginable change. Sarah's heart fluttered. Could faith truly unravel even the most stubborn afflictions? But then, just as the sun broke free from the heavy clouds for the first time in days, a profound silence fell over them. The light above flickered one last time, enveloping them momentarily in a hush of grace. A spirit of profound love brushed against them, seemingly beckoning them to listen. "Together, we have been witnesses," came a voice more profound than the one before. "But do not forget, every miracle carries within it a mission, a purpose. What shall your hearts carry forth into the world?" The question settled over them like a heavenly dew, instilling a sense of reverence. The villagers stood in stillness as the weight of it settled upon them. They weren't just to celebrate this miracle but to become vessels for hope in the wider world. Sarah turned to Mary, their eyes locking in understanding. Together, imbued with renewed purpose, they could step into new paths of love, hope, and service. "This is just the beginning," Sarah whispered. It felt like a promise, a declaration born of the divine spark ignited within each of them. As whispers filled the air again, questions loomed large. Would they heed the call? What mission awaited them as they stepped beyond the embrace of this sacred moment? The luminous presence flickered one last time, inviting them all to a reality where faith became action, and hope became a force that transformed lives. Where would this journey lead them next? Mary stood in the center of the villagers, her heart still racing with the thrill of her miraculous recovery. Around her, faces glowed with wonder, hope cascading in waves through the crowd. They were not merely a collection of individuals, they were a family, united by faith and the promise of what lay ahead. "Let us gather," a voice called out, drawing everyone closer. It was Peter, one of the village elders, his eyes alive with fervor. "We must hear what the Lord wishes for us now." As they encircled Mary, the air pulsed with anticipation. Sarah felt a flutter in her spirit. This gathering was not just to celebrate, it felt like preparation for something deeper, a divine commission. Mary, overwhelmed by attention, lowered her gaze, humility weaving through her joy. "I'm nothing without your prayers," she said, her voice soft yet steady. "It is your faith that lifted me." With those words, faith became electric. A murmur swept through the villagers, each person reflecting on the miracles woven into their lives, whispering stories of healing, love, and unseen grace. Then, like a gentle breeze, the Spirit of God swept through the gathering. Pleas for direction seeped into the silence, and one by one, they began to share. "I've dreamed of feeding those in need, sharing our surplus," Anna spoke, her eyes sparkling with conviction. "Me too." Another chimed in, excitement igniting in their hearts. "Let us care for the sick," someone else suggested, voices melding into a tapestry of ideas that unfurled before them like a vibrant tapestry. Plans began to emerge as they spoke of gardens, kitchens, and outreach. Even as they envisioned these wonderful acts of service, Sarah sensed a deeper call simmering beneath the surface. It felt urgent, like a fire waiting to be unleashed. This desire wasn't simply about compassion, but about sharing the profound assurance she had just tasted, the very essence of healing and love. "Together, we can do so much more," Sarah said, her voice firm yet gentle. "But more than our actions, we must share this hope, this news of what God has done. The world is filled with despair, but our hearts have been filled with light." Here, in their unity, Sarah felt the weight of the divine mission. Each person's story intertwined like threads in a marvelous quilt, each thread shining with colors of faith, testimony, and purpose. But then, a hush fell over them again. The flicker of divine presence returned, intimate yet daunting. "Will you carry my love?" The still voice seemed to beckon. "Will you take my healing not just to yourselves, but to the heart's longing for peace, for salvation?" Perhaps the call to action stretched far beyond what they had envisioned. It was not only about feeding the hungry or caring for the sick, but about reaching into the aching voids of their neighboring villages, the forgotten and the lost, carrying hope like a flame that would not be extinguished. The enormity of the task loomed before them, almost overwhelming, yet it filled their hearts with sacred urgency. Each villager stood anew, feeling the embers of faith igniting within them. "Will we heed his call?" someone whispered, and the air thickened with the weight of commitment. "Yes," came the chorus, passion igniting a response that echoed through their souls like a pledge. As they clasped hands, a radiant warmth enveloped them. This was not just a call, it was a promise that where they stepped forward, God would pave the way. "Let us prepare," Sarah said. "Let us find our path into the world, where hope waits to blossom. We cannot keep this to ourselves." They bowed their heads together, their hearts woven in powerful prayer, readying themselves to embrace the divine mission unfolding before them. What awaited them beyond the village? What challenges and blessings lay ahead on their path of newfound faith? The mystery of their journey lingered in the air, inviting them to trust and to step boldly into the calling that shimmered just out of sight. As the last echoes of their prayer floated into the evening sky, a strange stillness enveloped the villagers. The setting sun painted the horizon in vivid oranges and deep purples, casting a warm glow upon their gathered faces. Each of them stood wrapped in anticipation and shared purpose. Sarah felt a stirring in her heart. It wasn't just excitement, but an undeniable calling leading them down a path shrouded in grace. "Now, we must listen," Peter urged, his voice steady and clear. A few moments passed, filled with soft rustlings as people shifted, their minds racing with possibilities. Could they truly carry this divine charge into the depths of the world beyond? The enormity of this undertaking weighed heavily on them, yet the presence of the Holy Spirit offered a sense of peace that wrapped around them like a comforting blanket. Just then, an elder named Rebecca spoke up, her voice resonant with clarity. "I have seen dark corners in our village and beyond. Places where the shadow of hopelessness lingers, and yet, Mary's healing is a promise that we too can bring light." Her words hung in the air, and the villagers nodded, their eyes widening as they envisioned the potential for change. "We must be the hands and feet of His love." Anna shouted, her spirit ignited. "Let us go where we are called, and share what we have." Others murmured in agreement, passion stirring within the hearts of those who had once felt powerless. "Divine direction can be found in simple acts of love," Sarah interjected. "Let us not be daunted by big plans but start with those right in our midst. Every touch, every word can spread hope. These small seeds can grow into a garden of grace, flourishing in every life we touch." In that moment, laughter broke the tension as some children, sensing the excitement, raced around them, their joy spilling into the air. Their uninhibited giggles felt like heavenly music, underlining the truth that innocence could be a powerful vessel for faith. "Let us gather supplies," Peter chimed in, vibrant determination etched upon his face. "We can create baskets filled with food for those who struggle. We can deliver them with our own hands." The villagers cheered, a wave of diligence washing over each of them. The vision began to solidify into something tangible. As they dispersed to organize their thoughts, Sarah lingered, feeling the swell of divine energy buzzing around her. The charge wasn't just about helping physically, it was a transformative mission meant to reach many hearts with the very essence of love and healing. Then, a whisper rustled at the edge of her consciousness, as if the wind brought with it messages meant just for her. "Hold fast to your faith," it seemed to encourage. "Fear not the unknown, for I am with you." The words echoed like a soft confirmation, assuring her that they were not alone. Suddenly, a thought struck her. "But what if we also share the stories of our faith?" She mused aloud. "We must merge these acts of kindness with our testimonies. Let every basket carry a message of hope." The idea ignited another wave of enthusiasm. They could include a note within each basket, words that expressed their journey, their miracle, and the love of God that fueled their actions. As dusk began to settle and stars began to twinkle above, they assembled again, hands clasped in prayer, eyes shining with excitement and purpose. The task before them had transformed into a mission of love. However, as they hurried to collect their provisions, shadows flickered at the edge of the light, strange and uninvited. A chill swept through the group, momentarily dimming their enthusiasm as uncertainties clouded their readiness. Was there more at stake than just a mission of kindness? "Something stirs," Sarah whispered, heart quickening. Was this just the beginning of what God had in store, or a sign of challenges to come? The question lingered among them, waiting for an answer that would breathe courage into their souls. Little did they know, their acts of love would spark a far greater adventure than they ever imagined. The following day greeted the villagers with a mellow dawn, the sky washing over them in gentle hues of pink and gold. Sarah stepped outside, feeling renewed determination bubbling inside her. Birds sang harmoniously, and the morning air felt rich with potential. She could sense the Holy Spirit weaving a tapestry of hope in the hearts of her friends. The villagers gathered in the center of their community, each bringing supplies to contribute to their baskets. Some carried loaves of bread while others held jars of honey and fresh vegetables. Children darted around excitedly, their laughter ringing out as they eagerly helped pack the goods. "Let us start with prayer," Peter called out, his voice cutting through the buzz of energy. They formed a circle, hands clasped tightly. "Lord, bless these gifts and the hearts that will receive them. May they feel your love just as we do." As they prayed, Sarah glanced at the faces surrounding her. Each person bore a mixture of hope and uncertainty. They were united, yet a sense of foreboding clung to the air like the morning mist. It weighed on Sarah, an oddly familiar tension, but she banished the thought and focused on their task. Turning her attention back to the baskets, she began sticking the notes inside, each carefully crafted with words of encouragement and faith. "You are not alone," she wrote. "Hope is alive in even the darkest times. God sees you and loves you." Each note carried fragments of her own journey, infused with purpose. Before long, they had their first collection ready. A hefty stack of baskets, each brimming with love, awaited the next step. "Let us visit the widow on Elm Street first," suggested Rebecca, her voice steady. She knew the woman had fallen on hard times. Their journey would begin there, where the need was great. As they walked, the sun climbed higher in the sky, radiating warmth upon them. Sarah felt a wave of excitement wash over her. Each step felt like a declaration. They were vessels of God's grace, heading out to bring light into the shadows. Yet, as they approached Elm Street, a strange heaviness descended. Sarah noticed the air grow still and quiet, as if the world held its breath. An eerie shadow crossed the path before them. It was unlike any shadow cast by a tree or building. It flickered and then vanished, leaving behind a chill that seeped into their bones. What was that? Someone whispered, eyes darting around. "Stay close," Peter urged, a tinge of concern lining his brow. Unease spread through the group like wildfire. Sarah felt the weight again in her heart, and fear flickered at the edges of her thoughts. The mission they had embraced suddenly felt larger and perhaps even daunting. Was there something more they were up against? Yet, in that moment of tension, Anna stood firm, eyes determined. "We're here for love. We carry it with us. Nothing can defeat that." Those words ignited their spirits again, and together they pressed on, the shadows trailing behind them, lingering just beyond the reach of the light they carried. Arriving at the widow's door, Sarah raised her hand to knock. Her heart beat wildly, a tangle of anticipation and worry intermingling. What if this journey opened the door not just to the widow's home, but to deeper challenges unknown? Could they hold fast to their purpose amid the uncertainty? Only one thing remained clear: the promise of transformation awaited them if they dared to take the next step. What revelation would greet them on the other side of that door? The door creaked open slowly, like the hinge of fate itself. A frail figure appeared, wrapped in a shawl that did little to shield her from the chill of a fading day. It was Mrs. Thompson, the widow they had come to support. Her eyes, though clouded with sadness, shimmered with a flicker of recognition when she saw the group. "Good morning, dears," she greeted, her voice a whisper, barely louder than the rustling leaves. "What brings you here today?" Sarah stepped forward, her heart swelling with love and responsibility. We've gathered some food and notes of encouragement for you, Mrs. Thompson. As she spoke, she placed a basket at the widow's feet. We want you to know that you are not alone. The woman's gaze fell to the basket, eyes widening with disbelief. You did this for me? Of course, Rebecca chimed in, placing a reassuring hand on the widow's shoulder. You're part of our community, and we want to be there for each other. Mrs. Thompson hesitated, emotions swirling in her eyes. But times are hard, so many struggles. Love is stronger than any struggle, Peter interjected gently, his voice steady and warm. We believe that together, we can share hope and light. At that moment, the atmosphere shifted. The energy in the air felt charged, as if something sacred had ignited. Mrs. Thompson's eyes brimmed with tears, and the group held their breath in reverence. Would you allow me to share something? She finally asked, her voice trembling. I've been praying for help, but I did not expect an answer. A deep silence enveloped them, and Sarah's heart quickened. The room felt thick with anticipation, as though God stood poised to reveal his plans. Just yesterday, I prayed for a sign, Mrs. Thompson continued, wiping away a tear. I've felt lost since my husband passed. Each day has been a struggle. But your presence here today fills that void, a reminder that hope is never truly gone. With a fragile hand, she reached for one of the notes nestled within the basket. You wrote hope is alive in even the darkest times. I needed to hear that. The group exchanged glances, a ripple of awe passing through them. They had come to be a blessing, yet here they were being blessed in return. Suddenly, the shadows that had trailed them began to swirl, almost as if they were alive with intent. Sarah felt a compulsion to speak, an urgency rising within her spirit. Mrs. Thompson, the love we bring is the love of Christ. It drives out darkness. Not only for you, but for each of us. As those words left her lips, they resonated, filling the room with warmth and purpose. There was a heartbeat of divine connection, a thread connecting all present. Suddenly, a soft glow filled the doorway as the sun dipped lower, casting golden rays across the widow's humble home, illuminating their faces. The despair that once hung thick like fog began to dissipate. Sarah, Peter, Rebecca, thank you, Mrs. Thompson said, her voice now steadier. This moment it's a gift. Each person felt something shift inside them, a connection to something larger than the present moment, God's love wrapping them like a warm embrace. But as they stood there, awash in the glow of shared faith and compassion, the shadows lingered at the edges, waiting, watching, what would they face next? Could their resolve withstand whatever dark forces sought to tear at their purpose? They would have to continue this journey together, one step into the unknown at a time. What awaited them beyond this moment, in the unfolding of God's divine mystery? The stillness of the room gave way to an unexpected surge, a pulse of energy that wrapped around the four of them. The sunlight shifted, casting an ethereal glow upon Mrs. Thompson's face. For a moment it was as if the weight of the world had been lifted. She sat forward, her frail hands clasping the basket, a gentle smile breaking through her tears. Your kindness is more than just food or messages, she whispered, her voice tinged with awe. It feels like a hug from heaven. Sarah felt her heart expand with joy, the warmth of shared purpose washing over her like a balm. She shared a fleeting glance with Peter and Rebecca, their eyes sparkling with the light of faith. In that space, they were no longer just a group of friends, they were witnesses to something transcendent. I believe God uses us to reach one another, Rebecca said softly, her hand still resting on Mrs. Thompson's shoulder. There's a journey for each of us, a calling that pulls at our hearts. Sometimes we just need to step into that calling, even when it's scary. Mrs. Thompson nodded, the fear in her eyes slowly giving way to hope. There are days I hesitate to move forward. My heart feels chained to the past. Those chains can be broken, Peter encouraged, his voice firm. God delights in transforming pain into purpose. You're not bound to sorrow forever. You can rise. As the words hung in the air, the very atmosphere vibrated with truth. A gentle wind stirred from nowhere, rustling the curtains. Each breath they took filled their lungs not just with air, but with renewed spirit, invigorating faith coursing through them. "Tell me more," Mrs. Thompson urged, leaning slightly towards them, her eyes wide and earnest. It was a hunger for understanding, for something that felt just beyond her grasp. "How do I find this purpose when all I feel is loss?" "Start small," Sarah replied, her heart urging her to share. "Each act of kindness, no matter how small, creates ripples. As you step into light, darkness fades. Pray, and listen, let His voice guide you." Suddenly, a profound silence enveloped them again, a sacred moment that felt as if the world had paused. It was in this stillness that Mrs. Thompson's expression shifted from anxiety to a gentle resolve. "I will try," she said quietly, determination flickering in her voice as she clutched the basket closer. "One step at a time. I want to be that light for someone else one day too." As if in response to her commitment, the shadows that lingered outside began to retreat. The oppressive energy that had filled the room seemed to dissolve, as if the very air was infused with divine promise. Hope swirled around them, pooling like golden light above their heads. "Thank you, dear friends," Mrs. Thompson breathed, awe filling her voice. "You have given me not just food, but something to live for." In that moment, the group felt a profound connection not just to each other, but to every person who had ever felt forgotten, every soul that needed a reminder of God's unyielding love. Yet within that joy lingered an undeniable tension, a verse of scripture echoing in Sarah's mind, "For we do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness." With a collective breath, they lifted their gazes towards the door. The shadows outside were not gone, they had simply grown quiet. What lay ahead? How would they confront whatever darkness still lingered, ready to test their newfound resolve? "We've begun a journey of hope," Rebecca said softly, "but there's more to uncover." "Yes," Peter said, glancing at Sarah. "We must prepare for what's next. God's plans for us are larger than we can imagine." Together, they stepped forward, fueled by faith and the promise of what's to come. But as they left the warm glow of Mrs. Thompson's home, uncertainty loomed before them like an unwritten path. What challenges would they face, and how would their faith be tested in the journey ahead? The divine mystery awaited their next move. As the villagers stepped away from Mrs. Thompson's home, a profound sense of purpose pulsed in the air. The mission they had embarked upon was clearly more than mere acts of kindness. It was a divine call, surging through their hearts as they envisioned lives transformed by their very presence. "Let us head to the square," Sarah suggested, her voice steady with newfound conviction. "We must gather the community, share what we've experienced, and invite everyone to be a part of this journey." They walked together, arms entwined like living vines, each step lightened by hope. The golden sun climbed high in the sky, bathing them in warmth and dispelling the chill that had lingered in their hearts. They found the villagers congregated in the town square, busy in their own lives but poised to listen, await something, perhaps a whisper of the divine. As they approached, Sarah felt the buzzing energy, vibrational and profound. She caught Emily's eye, and the elder nodded knowingly. Today was significant. "Dear friends," Emily called, her voice ringing like a silver bell. The murmur subsided, and the villagers turned curious eyes upon the group. "Today, we have a story to share, a miracle that has unfolded among us." The crowd leaned in, anticipation swelling like the tide. Sarah stepped forward, drawing courage from the affection of her friends. "We sought out Mrs. Thompson, our beloved neighbor who has faced despair, and we discovered a wellspring of hope," she began, her heart racing. In vivid words, she narrated their encounter, how their small actions kindled something far greater, a light bursting forth from a heart once shrouded in darkness. Chestnut eyes sparkled with wonder as people gasped and murmured among themselves. "Together," she continued, "we realized that our acts of love transcend the boundaries of our village, they can heal wounds in every heart yearning for compassion. We witnessed how love, when shared, multiplies." A ripple of agreement coursed through the crowd. There were whispers of experiences buried and dreams reignited. Encouraged, Sarah continued, we feel called to extend this light even further. Together, we can cultivate hope for the lost, the forgotten wherever they may be. The villagers erupted in spirited chatter, some forming excited clusters, ideas bubbling forth like fresh spring water. They discussed their desires to reach distant towns, engage more people in acts of service, and share their own faith stories. Ideas bloomed around them, a garden of purpose in full array. Let us create baskets for the ones who are confined by circumstance, proposed a gentle soul, her eyes shining. And let us include our testimonies of God's unfailing love alongside them. Ours is a calling given to each of us, Peter added, his voice resonating wisdom. Let no shadow dampen this fire of hope. We are blessed, and these blessings are meant to flow outward. As they spoke, Sarah's heart soared, swelling with gratitude for the texture of unity threaded through their assembly. They stood together, interlaced like that tapestry of faith they had envisioned earlier, each person a vital thread, yet, amidst the fervor, a sense of trepidation whispered beneath the excitement. Sarah felt it encircling her thoughts. Doubt, like an unwelcome guest, snuck at the edges of her resolve, reminding her of the challenges they would face. What would the darkness attempt to stop them? Fear not, bellowed Emily, her voice imbued with unmistakable conviction. For where true faith dwells, darkness cannot abide. Remember the words the angels spoke together, we stand united, and we are not alone. And suddenly, like a brush of wind against their faces, hope ablaze within each heart, they found new strength. Their shared mission now felt tangible and real, like sunlight breaking through clouds after a fierce storm. Let us commit to this journey, Sarah urged, her resolve unwavering. Let us not only craft baskets to distribute, but let us also gather our stories, create a space where the voices of this village become a symphony of faith. The streets buzzed with excitement, intention sparking to life. Plans began to forge into action. The villagers formed groups, each friend eager to engage in a specific task, smiles lingering like light in their eyes. They began to chant declarations of hope, the air thick with warmth and vitality, like the very breath of God enveloping them. As laughter and joyful cries echoed through the square, tensions from the unknown began to dissolve like the evening mist. But from afar, shadows lurked, unseen yet palpable, waiting to intercept the fervor of faith. But for now, together, they stood as manifest miracles of love and connection, emboldened to face what came next. Come what may, whispered Sarah, her heart steady and full as the sun began to dip below the horizon, our mission has only just begun. And in that moment, a collective affirmation reverberated through the village. They were ready to embrace whatever lies before them together. Now, as we conclude this powerful journey, your story is just beginning. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive faith stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Every click helps carry this message of love further. Comment your reactions and testimonies about this ending. We want to hear from you. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this manifestation. This is the moment to show your support. Lives are waiting for the light you've just witnessed. Don't wait even one more second to share. Only true servants of God realize the importance of spreading the word.